There has been so much going on in the last week of college football, and I have not been able to cover it due to the fact that I moved into a new apartment. We are back today with an upload though, and last week we started a new series where I basically went over the biggest topics from each day, brought you up to speed, and gave you my reaction and everything going on. You guys obviously loved it, so I'm going to continue to try to do that every day, at least when there's newsworthy stuff going on. In today's video, we're going to continue that series and talk about everything that happened on Wednesday, January 12th. We have a young Auburn star who is reuniting with his old coach and could be an impact player there. We have to talk about one of the top defensive players in the nation who will come back in 2022, a former 5-star Clemson blue chip quarterback who has entered the portal, a big-time 4-star player is headed to this year's national champion, and finally, arguably the top wide receiver in this year's draft class has suffered a serious injury. We're going to go over all 5 of those topics, but right before we get into today's video, we are on the road to 100K, so quickly be sure to hit that subscribe button, smash that like button for the algorithm, give me your thoughts on all of today's topics, and let me know what video I should do next. Now, let's talk about everything that happened yesterday. Be sure to keep up to date with everything that goes on in college football, as I do aim to do this video every single day, so be sure to check out the playlist of everything going on. Let's start with our first topic, and that is Kobe Hudson. Coming out of LaGrange, Georgia, Kobe Hudson was a 4-star wide receiver in the class of 2020. He decided to take his talents to the Auburn Tigers under former head coach Gus Malzahn. He only got to spend 1 year with Coach Malzahn before he left for UCF. Hudson, on the other hand, finally got a chance to break out in 2021. Seth Williams and Anthony Schwartz were there for a while, so the Auburn Tigers would need to find a replacement wide receiver 1, and Kobe Hudson did his best job to try to fill that. This year, as a sophomore, he caught 44 passes for 580 yards and 4 touchdowns. He averaged 13.2 yards per carry and was the leading receiver and the most consistent receiver for Auburn this year. In 6 of his 12 games, he caught over 4 passes, and his best performance of the year is when he caught 8 passes for 107 yards and a touchdown against Mississippi State. Maybe he didn't see eye to eye with the future of the program or Brian Harsin, so he decided to enter his name into the transfer portal. Immediately, everyone knew where he was going to go, and it came true as he chose UCF. Gus Malzahn obviously recruited him hard out of high school and built a strong relationship with him, and he is trying to build a contender in Orlando as UCF will eventually move into the Big 12, and Hudson could be a big part of that. They recently landed another SEC guy in John Rice Plumlee, and Kobe Hudson will look to be one of the main receivers for Gus Malzahn moving forwards, and I'm excited to see what he can do, as UCF actually has produced some good receivers over the last few years. Tough blow for Auburn, big gain for UCF. When you take a look at the NCAA's leader in tackles, the first name you're going to find is Jack Campbell. Coming out of Cedar Falls High School in Cedar Falls, Iowa, Jack Campbell was a 3-star recruit and the number 44 outside linebacker in the class of 2019. Like many Iowa kids, he decided to stay home and play for Kirk Ferentz at Iowa. While he didn't play a whole lot in 2019 and 2020, he came into the starting role in 2021 and absolutely blew up. As I said, he led the nation in tackles as he combined for 143 tackles, 2 interceptions, a forced fumble, 6 pass breakups, and 6 quarterback hurries. Iowa ended up going 10-4, and because of that, he had found his way onto the NFL draft radar. Mel Kiper had him as the number 9 overall outside linebacker prospect, but he has decided to come back. Campbell was a second-team All-American and a first-team All-Big Ten selection, and if he repeats in the kind of production he had this year, he could be a first-round pick and one of the top linebacker prospects in the 2023 draft. This is a huge storyline for next year. This was a big piece of news. Former 5-star quarterback Hunter Johnson decided to enter the portal. He was the number 2 pro-style quarterback, a 5-star recruit, and the 30th best player in the class of 2017. A lot of people forget about him, but at one point, he was sort of seen as the future of Clemson football. I mean, he was supposed to be the guy after Deshaun Watson, but we all know how it went. Hunter Johnson didn't play well, and eventually Trevor Lawrence came in and beat out Kelly Bryant, and the rest is history. Johnson still had a lot of hype as he decided to transfer over to the Big Ten. He would join Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern, where he would likely be the starting quarterback. It has been a struggle. In 2019, he only threw for 432 yards with 1 touchdown and 4 interceptions, and after not playing in 2020, he did find himself as a starter in 2021, but was eventually benched after he only threw 400 yards with 4 touchdowns and 4 picks. In his career, he's only thrown for 1,000 yards and has 9 interceptions compared to 7 touchdowns. He's been one of the biggest quarterback busts of this decade, and he has now entered the portal, where he will try to find one more school. I don't know, but either way, Hunter Johnson has been a little bit of a disappointment, and I hope the best for him moving forward. Seemingly just yesterday, Georgia won the 2021 season's national title. This was a huge deal for the Bulldogs program, and it looks like the future is extremely bright for them. Kirby Smart has been known to be an excellent recruiter, and that will continue going into the 2023 class. Yesterday, the Bulldogs received a commitment from a tight end by the name of Lawson Luckie. As according to 24/7 Sports, he's the number 10 tight end and the 139th best player in the class of 2023. He's from Norcross, Georgia, so the 6'3" athlete decided to stay home. If you are a Georgia fan, you probably know the name Mike Luckie. That is the father of Lawson, and when his son became a big deal in the football world, Georgia was the second school to offer him. Eventually, Lawson would choose Georgia over 24 other offers, and he'll be the 9th commitment in this class. He is seen as one of the top tight end prospects in the nation, and Georgia always has a lot of production at that position, so I'm excited to see what he is going to do, and this is another big commitment for the Bulldogs. Finally, we get to the worst piece of news from yesterday, and that was that we found out Jameson Williams tore his ACL. I mean, most of us knew that Monday night and Tuesday, but I wanted to go ahead and cover this topic. Coming out of St. Louis, Missouri, Jameson was a top 100 4-star wide receiver, and he chose to go to Ohio State. After 2 years there, he was sort of productive, but being buried behind Jackson Smith-Njigba, Chris Olave, and Garrett Wilson made Jameson feel he had to make a career move. He decided to transfer down to Tuscaloosa, where Nick Saban was looking for a veteran receiver who had a lot of potential. Bama had lost their top 2 receivers from last year, and Jameson was going to be paired along John Mechie. I personally thought there was a lot of hype for him, and I made a video about how he was a season-changing player, but no one, and not even I, could have expected how he did in 2021. He became the top target for Bryce Young as he caught 79 passes for 1,572 yards and 15 touchdowns, while averaging nearly 20 yards per catch. He was a Biletnikoff finalist, a first-team All-SEC player, and an All-American. He also became a likely top 10 pick in the 2022 NFL Draft and the number 1 wide receiver prospect. I was very pumped to see what Williams would do in the national title game, but as we all saw, he went down with an ACL tear in the 3rd quarter. He had to be helped off the field, and it looked like his season was going to be done. Alabama lost the title, and Jameson may have lost millions of dollars. The doctors did say he'll likely be able to retain his 4.3 speed, but I can't help but think that NFL franchises and general managers might be a little bit skeptical of Jameson's injury, and I think he will fall to being a 2nd-round pick. He is my favorite wide receiver prospect for this year's draft, and one of my favorite players from the 2021 college football season, so I wish him a speedy recovery and hope to see him ball out on Sundays, but this is pretty bad news. So yeah, in today's video we talked about the 5 biggest topics from January 12th. Let me know your thoughts on all 5 of these topics. Be sure to smash that like button if you want to support this series. Let me know what topic I could do in my next video. Subscribe if you're new, and check out all my other videos on the end screen. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.